Baby girl. Yes, this was their legal name. I worked with someone named Baby. Before I knew of her, I saw an email that started with "Hey baby." She and I were on the same email distribution list, and I thought, oh, I guess this guy didn't do the mandatory annual anti-harassment training. I couldn't believe it when I realized that was her actual name. A woman named Darling worked at a place we dealt with for business. We soon got used to it, but whenever my husband answered the phone, "Hello darling," and I was in the room, he got some looks. My neighbor was the 12th kid. His parents named him Twelver. That's gotta be the worst I've ever seen. So, quick fun history fact, in the days of the American Revolution, like that era, this was a fairly common practice. BC kids died so easily, parents did one of two things. The first one was the one you mentioned, where they just kinda assigned a kid a number. The second thing they did is that if they named their child Amanda and Amanda died, they would just give that name to the next child that popped out. So you'd have two siblings named Amanda, the oldest one would be dead, and the youngest would take the name. Sorta just like replacing it. Salvador Dali's dead older brother was also Salvador Domingo Felipe Jacinto Dali y Dominic. His parents believed their second son was the reincarnation of their first son. The Dallas took little Salvador to his brother's grave, which had their shared name written on the tombstone, and told their young son that it was his own grave. Salvador Dali apparently grew up to genuinely believe that he was his brother's reincarnation and incorporated his dead brother into some of his paintings, namely Portrait of My Dead Brother, 1963. Nevi. It's heaven backwards. Anyone that tells you their daughter is named Nevi will also tell you that it's heaven spelled backwards. Every time. Why not just go for the easier to pronounce hell? I once encountered a plump young woman whose name, according to her ID, was Rotunda. I went to high school with a guy named Zip Daub. His middle name was Aditto. They named that mother for Zip Aditto Daub. I went to college with a girl called Candy who had a boyfriend called Jason Sweet. We all wanted them to get married so bad. I work at a college and often go through the new applications to process them. I've seen all kinds. Most ridiculous name I've seen thus far though. Starscream Mannequin is his first and middle names. He has a normal last name. When I first saw it, I was certain that it was a kid thing with our application system. Then I met him in person, and he showed me his ID. His name is legally Starscream Anakin. I get the Anakin part, but of all the Transformers to name your kid after, why on earth make it Starscream? He was just awful. When I was pregnant, my now ex-mother-in-law wanted me to name our son Rock, which is stupid as it is, but the last name is Buller, so my son's name would be Rock Buller, and I couldn't do that to the poor kid. My ex thought it would be funny to name him Rocky with the middle name Bal, so his name would be Rocky Bal Buller. An ex had friends who named their kids Hate and Rage, Hate and Rage. Good luck, kids. Guarantee dad wears a Punisher shirt as formal wear. Had a boy in our school named Avant. Pronounced Avant. Mother insisted the accent made the E silent. She would come completely unglued when anyone said his name wrong. Lady, that's Avante. Update. I have no idea why she didn't just leave off the E altogether. The sad thing is, she really thought it would make it silent. She was really angry about it. If she were a nicer person I would have felt sorry for her, as I'm sure no one really challenged it until he got to school and people saw it written versus just hearing it. It got to be where after pre-K we'd warn each teacher about how to pronounce it, so spare them the wrath and the incorrect grammar lesson from mom, but no one could help it. The kid's name was William. Unfortunately for the kid, he had a nickname that was spelled Liam. That doesn't sound so bad until you hear the pronunciation. Yum. Like, William. They called their child Yum and spelled it Liam. No teacher in my classes with him could ever say his name correctly, so he eventually gave up, and we all called him the normal-sounding Liam. Well, let's just say that the state I live in doesn't have a significant English-speaking population, especially in the rural regions, despite the official language of the country India being English and most of the urban population being educated. However, I have friends whose parents gave them names like Benadryl, goodbye, very helpful, and the absolute worst dishwasher. This, however, is because people from the rural regions, especially in the northeast, come to the cities and see words in ads and billboards that they find pretty and innocently name their children after a variety of brands. I don't always blame them. I had a family friend who came off as very posh and educated, spoke perfect English, but named his daughter Darth Vader. Some of them are just trolling. Do not underestimate people of the hills, they don't take your bullshit, educated or otherwise. Some friends of mine in high school knew a girl named Cash Money. Met her once and she said her name with some made-up accent. One recently I ran into was Cadence. That wasn't very Cash Money of her parents. A family friend named his son Sir, and it's pretty cringe. Honorable mention goes to the former coworker who named his daughter Khaleesi. Edit, also knew a stripper whose real name was Curiosity. Her parents doomed her. My friend went to high school with Richard Noggin. I went to high school with a guy named John. Yes, his first name, middle name and last name were all John. My mother is a genealogist and discovered that my great-great-great something grandparents were named Lettuce and Nimrod. A power couple. OK Arthur Doak. We called him OK. He was the youngest of 5 kids. Fancy, named after the Reba song, and her sister Truly, named after Truly Scrumptious from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Secret Love. She was a kid my mom met when my mom worked at a pediatrician's office. Secret Love's mom laid out the whole story to my mom about the name. Had a little boy in my program named Rowdy. A kind of rednecky but whatever. Then I found out his older brother is named Howdy. WTF? Found out later that the older boy's legal name is Howard. That's less ridiculous, at least. Wednesday, Passion. That was a little girl I used to babysit. My favorite I saw while working as a banker was Subway Club. Allah is supreme middle name, last name. His parents named him this, and he wanted a loan to open a weed store in a state where it is illegal. To clarify, his middle name is middle name, I forgot the last name, but it was just a normal last name. My mom worked in a maternity ward and a family with the last name Dollar named Thyre infant child need a poor kid.